reigning, the defending, the pound for pound world champion is not Tyson Fury. He's a little bit overrated in my opinion. It is, of course, the Tribit Stormbox Blast. And today it's taken on a speaker that has shocked the world. Well, not quite the world, but JBL Boombox 3 fanboys. They've been saying, oh, look what you can do. Half the price and it's going to go almost as loud. Actually goes louder, even with the Boombox 3 on mains power. And when you hit the bass up button on the WKing I might get copyrighted for that song that accidentally came on, and so it will come out in the edit. But the point being, I wanted to go bass up. So melody mode, default mode, bass up, the bass heavy version of the melody mode. When you hit the bass button, what happens out? Well, you get a bit more bass. Yeah, well, we thought that would happen anyway. Oh, but also you get less of the highs. But that'll make it unbalanced. Well, you tell WKing that. And the discussion ongoing. WKing, Viking. W-King in my world don't mean Viking. A Viking makes a lot of good TV series on Netflix, and we love to watch all that. But today, the question is, what is the Tribit Stormbox Blast? Still, your world pound for pound champion. A lot of people still think, well, if he says it's his pound for pound champion, that means it's his favourite, best listened speaker. No, it means taking all things into account. Usability, the sound you get, and the price. Pound for pound. In the boxing world, pound for pound isn't the heavyweight champion. It's the one that you think if you weighted it, handicapped it, so everybody was equal. All weights, and if you understand what I'm saying, if all things being equal all things being equal, who would come out on top? And that's where I say Tribit Stormbox Blast. Yes, I've taken 10 minutes to tell you what you probably already knew. But did you know my favourite speaker is the Harman Kardon Go Plus Play 3. Why is it called the Go Plus Play? We don't know. We don't know why half of these people call their speakers what they do. Look at WKing, Viking. It's the X20. No, it's not. It's the D20. Yes, it depends where you live. Is it the X20 or the D20? They give different places, the same speaker, different names, and the same names to different speakers. No wonder. The world says, we are confused, mate. Well, they say that on my videos, and you can understand why. Even I can understand why when I hear what I'm saying, just for an intro. So the question is, you wanted to know, I want to know. We've been shocked by the Boombox 3 fanboy slayer, the WKing X20 D20. But does that make it my pound for pound world champion? Just bear in mind, at the point I'm making this video, the X20, first of all, not available everywhere. Can't actually get it in the UK. I had to plead and beg and say, please, 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 many times to Viking before they would even let me have a speaker. So in the end, what happened out? Well, I'm going to tell you. They said if we send it from Amazon.com, which is not my regional one, mine is Amazon.co.uk, but they don't sell it. I think not even in Europe, is it? Certainly not in the UK. The only way I could get it was if I said if they sent it from Amazon and then I paid for the shipping. And that's what I did. I had no other contact with WKing. It's happened in the past when I've had their speakers. They seem to like they will let you have a speaker and then you're forgotten about. So they don't seem to know if you've made the video or not, or even care, to be honest. But anyway, I did get it sort of from WKing for nothing, but I did pay what is not a small amount for the shipping and import taxes. So $200 at the moment, 180 quid. Tribit Stormbox Blast. The prices always vary, and $225. So slightly more for the X20, but on paper could be a lot more. A lot of the result of this is going to be what you want the speaker for. We're going to get into that. Oh, well, thank you, Alan. In a review of one speaker against the other, you're actually going to tell us about them. Yes, I know. I know what I'm doing. Trust me, I'm not a doctor. Right, I'm going to show you just quickly the differences in features. So we've got auxiliary in, we've got USB-C connect for charging, is it? Output, yeah. So you can use it as a power bank with USB-C. You can't charge it that way. We've got the auxiliary input. We've got some Allen screws. which means nothing, but we've got a mains lead for your charging, for your power. But then you compare it to the WKing X20 D20 on its backside. Larry, it's going to take me about 3 years to tell you what we've got here. Well, go on now, tell us. Right, well, we've got an instrument input. They call it the guitar input. Remember, that's going to be different from a mic input, the line level. So we've also got a TF slot. We've got a micro SD slot for playing music straight off the device itself. And we've got USB-A also for playing music. Yes, also for playing music. It's confusing because it's also got USB-C for playing music off a USB dongle. But then we've got the two-way USB-C, so you can use that to output as a power bank and input for your power. And it does support fast charging, 60 watts, I believe. 20 times 3 is 60. Yeah, 20 volts, 3 amps, 60 watts of power. That's very, very good. Then we've got monitor. You can stick your headphones in and you can monitor the sound that way if you want. You've also got a separate auxiliary 3.5mm input. And then another. Hang on a sec. Right, okay. Right, go back 3 steps or re-edit. We'll see. That USB-C is actually the on-the-go. So even though we've got auxiliary, all these other inputs, you can hook this straight to a device that also supports on-the-go output because you may need an adapter and play directly wired that way. And then we've got the two-way USB-C charging and power bank functionality and all that and all that and all that. So in terms of features, we've got on paper a lot more actually from the D20 X20, but then again, love them or loathe them, you've got your lights. You've got your lights and it also doubles as telling you where you are with the volume. I quite like that. Not everybody likes that. But there you go. Life is all about your life choices, your options in it. Yes, it is. They've both got passive radiators on the side. We'll get to the specs in the end. I think that's the best way to get through the videos. The full overview of all my speakers that I do will always be in the first video that I do. So now we'll just get into the sound tests. Wow, it normally 20 minutes to get through this bit, and in a moment, well, I didn't time it yet again, but I'm sure it wasn't 20 minutes to get to the first sound clip. The first sound clip. It's going to be about 50% volume. Just remember, what I'm doing here is both of them in their X bass mode, in their bass heavy modes. That's X bass here. That's bass up here. Different modes will sound different. These are what people think are boomboxes, and I'm doing their default bass heavy modes. Personally, I don't use the Tribit Stormbox Blast with anything but my own neutral EQ, neutral-ish EQ. There's things you can't fix on here, which I find this speaker to be quite EQable, and so you can make big differences when you adjust the EQ. Not all speakers are like that, especially if you're always fighting the limiters. So at 50%, here we go with the sound test. Both speakers in their bass heavy default modes. The first thing to note is they're both pretty messy in the high end, notably for the Stormbox Blast because of its signature 5.5 kHz dip, and for the X20, 2 kHz to 4 kHz, a big suck out. The Stormbox Blast relying on a 10 kHz peak to add some clarity back, and the X20 a bit boosted, 5 kHz to around 10 kHz. We also have a big 1.2 kHz peak for the X20. But overall, the bass champ here is the X20. 85 Hz and down is where it dominates.
and it's managing to keep up with the bass of this bass-heavy track. But the Stormbox Blast is the one with the bigger upper bass, and indeed the X20 does lack upper bass, which is going to help to bring out some of the deeper bass sound. So these two speakers are a little bit opposite in their sound signatures. Upper bass Stormbox Blast, deeper bass X20, both lack upper mids. A peak 10 kHz for the Stormbox Blast, a peak 1.2 kHz for the X20, but the dominant 5.5 kHz suck out for the Stormbox Blast.
Sometimes when you properly loudness match two speakers, which is what I do, whether you find, if you think that's good or not, I think it's the best way to actually compare speakers, because if you just do it on volume steps, of course, they won't be properly loudness matched. But anyway, I get the loudness, if you've never heard me talk before, loudness matched in my world means get them as close as possible on actual volume steps, and that last bit of normalization done in software. So a lot of speakers, it's almost hard to pick out the differences in an A-B without really listening quite hard. And so if you're not in an A-B, you probably wouldn't even hear much difference. Not so with these two speakers. This has, at this particular volume step, around 50% volume, this has a dark overall signature, and that has a more sparkly, thinner sounding signature. At these volume steps, the X20 D20 WKing is a bit more bass heavy in the mid-deep bass, but we've got a dollops loads more in the upper bass on the Blast. That is upper bass light at all volumes. This is upper bass heavy at all volumes till you get to the maximum volumes. This has a pronounced mids peak about 1.2 kilohertz that is very obvious to the ear, and this has a obvious 5.5 kilohertz dip. That does ruin that high end, but doesn't ruin the speaker. It just makes it a bit messy. It's messy on both of these speakers, and the overall sound signature, even when you're really closely loudness matching them, are very different. Dark compared to thin, and more sparkly, can be a little bit harsh, depending. Both of them are off in the highs, but you can, as I said, this is very EQable, and you can sort of EQ your way around that using their own default app, which is what I do. WKing also have an app, and we'll get to that at the end, but I'm doing these in default. Doesn't matter what I do. If I do them both custom or both default, somebody's not happy. And you know what? Even if I didn't do the video, people would be unhappy, and if I do videos, people are unhappy. But what's the more of the story out there? What it is, there's a lot of people that are never happy. Yes, boom, boom. That could be the tagline. I could do that as a no, I don't really do clickbait titles, but I could just do the title as, what did I just say? I just said, some people are never happy. And that could be a sort of clickbaity title. Don't blame the messenger. This is the problem with YouTube and Google over the years. The algorithm is very much dumbed down, and it's suited to the masses more, and to what Google decided you should. When Google first started as a, was it that university, I can't remember, Sanford, something like that. When it started as a school, as a university project, it was about showing results that are relevant to the search based on a PageRank algorithm. So an authority kind of algorithm that's not defined by Google. And over the years, they went on to, they wanted an algorithm that was in their own image, and they have people who test algorithms and have to rate it on particularly what comes up. And that's how they say they got rid of a lot of the so-called spam in the early days. I don't think it was spam. A lot of the mum and pup sort of websites that we used to call them, that were quite information based and were very personal. They didn't like that. They moved it to a commercial base, and then they decided to monetize the whole thing. My point being, you have to have, this is so-called, in the so-called era of artificial intelligence, you have to have a clickbait title to rank well, to get good views in YouTube. YouTube ain't that clever. That's my point. Why did I come back to that? Oh yeah, because I was talking about what goes in the title. Everybody has to have, everyone is, I mean, I didn't ever have that, and now I'm starting to think, well, do you have to have that? You know, you don't get views with that clickbait title. It's as simple as that. It's the same with websites. When websites just had a title to describe their what they were, if you had it in the same place too many times, you got downranked. What I'm saying is, the algorithm is a bit stupid, and don't blame the messenger for all these clickbait titles that we do get. It's because the algorithm's so stupid, it can't decide that. It just wants to know, did someone click through? And the only way to really get more people to click through is by the stupid, you could have free porn in the title, and I guarantee you it will rank really well. Why don't you try that out? I might do, but then I might get demonetized altogether. I don't know. Am I that brave? You tell me in the comments, because I could change it even after I upload it. Do you think I should change it to free porn and then see if we go viral? I've never had a viral video, by the way, and there's lots of reasons why. The ramble I've just gone through may be one of the reasons. So what we're talking about 50%. Oh yeah, I can't even remember how far I got in. Explain the differences in sound. So how do we nail that? We can say definitely more deep bass there, and there's definitely more upper bass there, but it's going to depend on your ears. Both of them sound pretty decent when you take the money into consideration, but I still get a bit more quality from the Tribit Stormbox Blast, especially indoors. That's going to be, that sound signature that we're comparing with will be more suited to outdoor use. And this is a darker, not going to sound that great to everybody. If you're just looking for a boombox, you're going to go for that over that at 50%. So boombox levels, we're going to go to 75% for the WKing D20X20, which is about 80% for the Tribit Stormbox Blast. This is where we separate the men from the, I don't want to be sexist anymore, you can't say anything, where we separate some people from other people.
Sometimes I wait for the sunrise, and it feels like you're next to me. I know you're not, but it's alright. I'm fighting, confiding the sea. Your wisdom in my mind, memories of us when you used to find me so dangerous. You told me it's fine, I'm serious. We got all our time, so no need to rush. Your wisdom in my mind, memories of us when you used to find me so dangerous. You told me it's fine, I'm serious. We got all our time, so no need to rush.
Around 80% both speakers, loudness matched, and it's flip-flop. This is kind of the weak area in terms of volume and bass for the X20. This is completely down to its very linear volume steps compared to other speakers like the Stormbox Blast. So whereas the Stormbox Blast is actually almost hitting its bass limit at 80%, like a lot of these type of speakers, the X20 has as much headroom above 80% as it does below 80%. In other words, 60 to 80 provides as much of a bass boost as 80 to 100. And that all adds up to the Stormbox Blast at this particular volume having the bigger bass. It has the bigger upper bass anyway, but now it also has the bigger deeper bass. We still have the 1.2 kilohertz peak, the X20, which can make it sound a bit nasty. The 5.5 kilohertz dip, the Stormbox Blast, which makes it sound quite dark, made up for in some respects by its high-end push. But overall, again, the main differences you're going to hear will be lack of upper bass on the X20 compared to the Stormbox Blast, the mids push of the X20 versus the upper mids dip, 5.5 kilohertz for the Blast.
It's all about volume steps. This is unusually linear in the volume steps. Not just in the volume steps, but in the relative bass to the mids and the highs. We're used to having speakers hit bass limits at 80%, and then all you get for the extra loudness is the mids and the highs. Therefore, because we've got lots more headroom, on a straight A-B at the same volume step, this is going to come off as a bit bass light, which means loudness matched when this volume step is about 75%. The Tribit Stormbox Blast actually has more bass altogether, all the way from upper bass down to the deep bass, in as much deep bass as you get with speakers like this. So you may be surprised, as I was, that this outbasses the WKing X20 D20, but it's not just about the bass. the sound, as already said, at low volumes, this has a darker sound signature in these particular EQs, and that has a thinner, more sparkly, but can be, to me, a bit harsh, because they're both off in the highs. But I think this is more off than that. But then the thinness and the sparkliness, all that's a bit too sizzly for me. It's clearly going to suit outdoors versus an indoors sort of tuning. Normally we'd say the upper bass would suit that, but you know, in this mode, the X bass is going to be a bit too muddy for outdoors. But you may be thinking, no, I've seen all the other reviews out, and it's definitely more bass heavy than that. But it's also all about the volume steps you're at and properly loudness matching them. So in that loudness match, as in the original comparison I did for the X20, it was the Bang Max that came out best at that. But then we saw it was different at maximum volume. Why is that, Al? I've just bloody told you, ain't I? It's because the volume steps are unusually linear, as is the bass relative to mids and highs, which means it's not dropping its bass in the way these will from 80% onwards. And so that means there's more headroom. So I certainly prefer, at these volumes, the Tribit Stormbox Blast. It just has a bit more quality. The imaging is definitely better. You get a more of a hi-fi sense of that imaging. And just what I would term quality, but it's hard to define what you mean by that. Whereas this is more woolly. There's more things missing in the frequency response that I can hear. That just sounds better. It just has more of that smile factor than that does. This is pure boombox territory, whereas this has a little bit more quality and it's a little bit cheaper. But they're so different in their sound that one or the other is going to suit you simply depending on the room you use it in, whether you're going to be indoors or outdoors, and what you want from your music, and indeed what that music collection that you have, the genres, are. For me, that's still my speaker that I'm going to listen to, because I like the way it images and I just get a bit more sense of the quality. Both of them have issues. I hope that made sense. We're going to go to maximum volume, the ultimate headroom. And this is the point. In normal comparisons, you're thinking, well, this is already outbassing it at 80%. It's going to be about the same at maximum volume. So let's have a look at what happens when we go to maximum volume.
Maximum volume, and as we said before, it's all about those very linear volume steps for the X20 that you will get a lot more past 80% than you will on almost all the other same type speakers. So whereas the Stormbox Blast had more bass at 80% than the X20, it's a whole different ball game going 20% louder. So both in volume and in bass, it's slam dunk win for the X20. In LUFS, almost 4 decibels louder. It's the same story in peaks. In fact, it's nearly 5 decibels louder in peak. And overall bass, 5.5 decibels advantage to the X20.
Crash, boom, bang, wallop. That was a song from what film? Tommy Steele. What was it? Ow, what was the film? I can't remember. It was Tommy Steele. Crash, bang, wallop, what a picture, what a photograph. Crash, bang, wallop, what a picture, what a picture, what a photograph. Oh, no. Why do I know that? Because I've had that comments before. I told you people, why are you doing the Cockney accent? Here's a clue. I'm a Cockney from London, but never mind. But yeah, I had no idea I was going to say that until Crash Boom Wallet came out my mouth. And then I remembered Tommy Steele, who I saw live once. Tommy Steele was brilliant. I'm saying was. I'm pretty sure he's dead. But if he's not, I apologise. Yeah. So that the maximum volume. There's only one speaker in it. Anyway, there's only one speaker, and it's the one that all the JBL or Boombox 3 fanboys are crying. They're not really crying. I had that. I'm only saying it because in a lot of the comments for the X20 were, oh, the JBL fanboys must be crying. They weren't really crying because at the end I did say I prefer the sound of the Boombox 3. As a lot of these speakers all have issues, and even the Boombox 3 is kind of unlistenable to me once you go over 50% because of its 700 hertz peak, fixed in the Wi-Fi version. But if it's about having an outdoor Boombox 3, Boombox speaker, it's the clue is in the word. You want to go outdoors, you want to go as loud as possible, have as much bass as possible. You're having a party, you're by the pool, you're having a great time. You're forgetting about the real world out there, which is really, really awful right now. And so, you know, that was awful for the JBL 3 fanboys. By the way, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a fanboy. I say that in a lovable way when I talk about fanboys. I love fanboys. Why not come and talk about the brands that you personally love? I think it's brilliant. I can't believe I'm being called a JBL fanboy. I've had enough JBL speakers that I've already said were crap. What about my JBL Extreme 4 video? Where you know it was astonishing the lack of bass and the price and what they're calling Extreme. But the Encore, you know, was probably the first JBL that I thought was value for money. Anyway, I don't care about that. What I'm saying is, I'm not taking the piss out of anybody who says they're a fanboy. I encourage you, all you guys, Mr. Shoe Race, he knows. He was known originally as the JBL fanboy. But it's all good. It's all good to me. I love fanboys. I think it's quite funny that some people will stick by a brand, whether it actually sounds good or not, but that just want to, and that's good. It's like having a football team. Who do you support? Top Hotspurs. I don't know if a lot of people don't. In America, I don't know. Football's not that big, is it? It's soccer. What they call soccer is not the same game as we call soccer. I'm just saying, you stick with your team through thick and thin. That's what it's all about, supporting a team. And it's kind of like that with some of these fanboys, except that you could do better paying less. But anyway, the point of that was self-explanatory. You only had to hear 20 seconds of that sound clip. You got the bass that you didn't have at 80%. Because it's all about relative bass. So that's where the headroom is. It even goes louder with more bass than the Boombox 3, with the Boombox 3 power lead stuck in. But much like the Tribit Stormbox Blast, I just think it sounds better overall. For my personal ears, if you're doing any sort of semi-critical listening, you know, we can't really talk about these speakers as having any critical listening ability at all. But in as much as we can, this remains for me pound for pound world champion at this price. Simply because retail for the Go Plus Play 3 is about 300 quid. I just think that you've got a bit more value here. And you get the lights, and then pretty lights, and of course you've got the problem of the, well, it's advantage or disadvantage, depending on how you look at it. The downward firing subwoofer of the Go Plus Play 3 is going to make all the difference in the world. A, it's an accident waiting to happen, and B, because it's the surface you put it on, or whether you put it on the surface or not, will completely change how that bass sounds. So, let me check my notes, because as usual, I completely lost the plot and I don't know what I'm saying. But what I'm saying, we were talking about maximum volume. Did I cover everything? In my notes, I'm saying, I've talked about the linear volume steps. I've just explained why there's such a difference, even in the first videos we saw against Boombox 3 and the Tronsmart Bang Max, without doubt their best value speaker that they've had. This is the weak point for this X20 is about 75%. You want to take that into consideration if that's going to be around the volume you play it at, because they've left a lot of headroom for the bass. I've just said the X20 is a clear winner. Now for volume and bass, you already knew that. You knew it probably ages ago, because I'm certainly not the first to do this video. In fact, I'm not the first for any speakers anymore. I just don't have the time to keep up with anything. I've got so many speakers that I've never even got around to review, trying to do the ones that are most interesting to me and you. But I'm a mile behind. It's a question of, do I want to be... Yeah, well, look, no, I'm not chasing views. Views are nice. I've said that many times. Would I like 1 million subscribers? Absolutely. It's about an ego trip. I don't deny that, but it's not the reason I'm here. I'm here because, as I said, if I'm trying to optimize for the ridiculous algorithm, it's the same on Google. I know you get kind of relevant. If you were around 25 years ago and you saw what were relevant results on Google, it was far more interesting than just the commercial stuff you get now. But I digress. That's not a dirty word. It's just a word in the English language. Yeah, okay, specs. The specs appeal. Talked about prices already. This came out in June 2022, so we're about 2 years old already. That's obviously out now. In terms of this is another thing, might be an issue for you. Multi-point functionality, your ability to have two devices linked to the speaker at the same time. You can't do that on the X20 or the D20. Can do it on the Tribit Stormbox Blast. It's SBC no matter what on the Blast, but it defaults to AAC on Android. So it's got AAC and SBC. Just bear that in mind. They're both Bluetooth 5.3. They both do stereo pairing. Neither of them do party mode, as far as I know. It's a mains lead charging, slightly awkward, but not as awkward as having to have a power brick for the Blast. As it's lovely. This is the future. USB-C power delivery, USB-C fast charging and output on the X20. Any USB-C to USB-C lead cable will do. So we've got the mic, we've got the instrument input. We've got none of that on the Blast. There's no way to play music off the device at all with the Blast, but we've got both on the go functionality, and we've got USB dongle functionality, and we've got micro SD card functionality. So headlines with the watts, which, you know, it's okay, it's sort of a guide, but honestly, the way they rate these things is slightly meaningless when you get two speakers rated the same thing. But rated 200 watts RMS for, I believe it's RMS. Well, I said that in the first video. They don't say that on the box or in the manual that you get, but you go online like Amazon and read what the marketing team have said. They claim both 250 watts peak and 300 watts peak and 200 watts RMS, whereas we're 90 watts on the Stormbox Blast. I don't think that was RMS either. But in terms of weight, well, we're 5.5, basically 5.5 kilos for Stormbox Blast, and that's a big old boy. It's 7.1 kilos. That's a 2 kilo difference. That's significant. You know, that's okay, that's heavy, but it's doable. Well, that's a definitely chunky, and if you're lacking biceps, triceps, you've got a problem with that one. They will both float on water. They are both IP7 rated 1 meter water for 30 minutes, but only the Blast will float with the drivers up and so remain playable while it's in the pool, in the sea, etc., etc., etc. But hey, only well, that was the other thing, wasn't it? In the marketing on Amazon, they claim that is IP6 rated for dustproof. So they're saying dustproof and 1 meter water for 30 minutes, but they don't write it the right way. They don't say IP67, which is how it should have been written. They say IPX7 and IP6. And it doesn't say that on the box or the manual. So, as I said, WKing clearly never watch any of these videos that go out after you've said you'll get a speaker for review. So they haven't come to correct anything I've said, and I said it in the first video. But there's nothing there that suggests to me that really is dustproof. But they're claiming it in their marketing. Both passive radiators about the same. I've got 51 hertz for the Blast and 50 hertz for the WKing X20. Of course, my measurements are not really that accurate, but on the measurements I made, there was a clear 1 hertz difference. So we've got two 107mm woofers, and these were off the Boombox 2, I believe, from memory. The woofers are the same woofers on the Boombox 2, but bear in mind JBL use different materials anyway, depending on which version you get. 207mm woofers compared to two 85mm woofers. Well, mid-range drivers. That's a three-way system. Blah blah blah. No, don't do the jokes. All right, we're two in. I've sat here too long now. I'm getting a bit tired. No obvious three-way jokes. I'll go on then. Just do one. When is it that three-way a bad thing? Well, a lot of times on these cheaper speakers where you got two crossovers, and they don't even on this one. It looks like they haven't done a proper crossover on the tweeter. Looks like the mid-range driver was still cutting in at 10 kilohertz and overwhelming the tweeter. Part of the reason why it's a bit of a mess at the high end. But anyway, we've got the subwoofer, I've cut off my own figures. I think it was 180mm by 100mm for the racetrack, very, very, very fast subwoofer, and it is a subwoofer. It only plays the bass Then we've got two 85mm mid-range drivers and two 25mm tweeters that don't seem to do a lot because of the mid-range tuning. And then we've got two 107mm woofers, two 25mm tweeters, and they both had two passive radiators on the sides. Both have no lag at all. There is no slag. There is no lag in auxiliary input mode. Then we got, I mean, I say these things, I don't even know why I went slag. I don't even know why it came out of my mouth, but there you go. So streaming YouTube, 66 milliseconds on the Blast, which is pretty good. And awful on the X20 at 266 milliseconds for AAC and 190 milliseconds for SBC, both for me unusable in terms of lip sync. We've got a 9-band equalizer for the Tribit, and we've got a 10-band. They wanted to go one more than the other people did because it appears to be the same app, Tribit and WKing, WKing, just a different skin. But they've gone for a 10-band one, but it's a bit fakey because the 30 Hz is basically the same as the 60 Hz liner I think they had. Does affect. It was all in my original video, but the bands are so overlapping. It should have probably been a 9-band. It looks like they fudged it to get an extra band in for the marketing. That's pretty much the video. So the outcome is definitely, if you're going outdoors, I guess the WKing will be the one. If you're indoors and you've got critical ears, for me the Stormbox Blast is the one, and then you'll EQ it anyway around it. It just has a bit more quality. It just images better for me. But I know why people love the X20. It's because it's half the price of the JBL Boombox. You're getting plenty of deep bass. Highs are a bit of a mess, and it doesn't seem to matter for most people. They're probably going outdoors where that thinness, you know, it will cut through. And it goes louder than the other similar looking but lighter Boombox speakers out there. And it's holding bass at maximum volume where the others are limiting at 80%. So definitely wins as a party speaker. This definitely wins for more critical ears. But the difference in the sound is so much that you will prefer one or the other anyway. And then you'll say, I don't know what other people listen at. Just remember they're listening in different rooms with different ears, with different tastes and different music. So just to recap, darker, better imaging, depending on the volume step, will even have more bass. Definitely more of a party speaker, definitely goes loud, definitely good value for money, definitely has lots more features that in the real world you may actually just want. Just know the bass, their melody, which is their default mode, it's a bit buggered because there's too much difference between hitting the bass button doesn't just boost the bass, it reduces too much the highs. And they'll probably fix that in firmware down the line, I'm sure, and then we'll have the nightmare because when I first didn't have so many speakers and I was doing all the firmware updates and keeping it up to date, that people just expect it now from my channel. There's far too many speakers. I can't keep up with any. As I said, I've got loads of speakers I've never even been able to review and will never get around to reviewing, simply don't have enough time to fit more than, at maximum, one speaker review a week. But people just want to know all the other firmware. I just don't have time now to keep up with them. But I will on the most relevant ones. I know there's the Boombox 3 one still outstanding. I'm trying my best. You wouldn't believe that by looking at the mess my videos are. But anyway, enough people still think there's value in what I'm doing that keeps me motivated. Got to be motivated. Because there's nothing really else, unless you're one of the lucky ones. It's like becoming a film star. Have you ever been a film star? No, my best, as a stand-in to Lassie. Probably nobody, I don't know, it's people even know who Lassie was these days. In my days growing up, Lassie was the dog in all the films, was famous. Now, I don't know, is that St. Bernard, that Beethoven dog? Even that was a long time ago. Who are the famous dogs now? And no jokes. When I say dogs, I mean woof woof, right. That's the end of the video, and yet you're still talking now. Yeah. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again.
What the was that?
It comes from China.
My speaker's got deep bass, balanced mids, and a bright high.
Yes, mine sounds exactly the same.